Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My last video I talked a little bit about change and when is the appropriate time for change, or not even appropriate, or maybe it's like when is a good time to change, and how do you know when it's a good time to change. I kind of want to piggyback off that and talk a little bit about beliefs and how we can have some beliefs that make no sense whatsoever, but we still believe in those beliefs. Anyway, let's get right into it. We all know people that would rather die than have you tell them what to do. We all have leverage that can make us change. It might be our children, it could be our health, it could be financial, your financial situation. Everyone is different, but you do have the power to change. Everybody has the power to change. So with it being the holiday season and all, I'm going to try to equate this to Scrooge. We all know this fucking asshole. He thought that being close to people equaled pain. Scrooge didn't want to lose everything so that he worked so hard for, so he secluded himself, kept himself away from people, because he thought that if he let them in, that they would take a piece of his empire, the empire that he built and he worked so hard for. Even if it was just a simple coin, he wasn't willing to give that up to anybody, even if somebody else was suffering. The only way people change is if the action that people are doing is creating pain, or the reward of change creates enough pleasure to make a switch. So let me give you an example. How many of you have had this happen? You absolutely love a food or drink, and you go out one night and you just stuff yourself. You go out to eat at your favorite restaurant. You, instead of eating one of your favorite burgers, you eat two. This is the worst night to do it because you end up with food poisoning, and just as easy as it went down, it came back out like a geyser with enough force to flush the toilet without pulling the handle. And then to this day, you cannot stand the taste or smell of that food. It just ruined it for you. Now your favorite food is forever ruined and you'll never be able to eat it again. This isn't a change of willpower. All that happened was you linked pleasure from the food and drink, and that pleasure that you had from that food or drink is linked to pain now, and you just avoid it altogether. So what you looked at as a pleasure, you're like, fuck that, I'm not eating that, I don't want it to happen again. It was the worst thing ever. I remember back in high school, we used to have these bonfires and parties. I was the DD that night. Yay, responsibility! Anyway, I was DDing that night for my buddies and my girlfriend. Well, my girlfriend got shit-faced and my buddies were all hammered, and I drove him back to my other buddy's house, and we had to wait for him to show up so we could get in the house. That's where we were sleeping that night. Well, I had a bottle of Bombay Sapphire gin. Don't ask me why. It's probably all I could get my hands on at the time. I mean, I was in high school, wasn't a big drinker, didn't really know what I was doing, but I drank that bottle in like an hour, and it was horrible. I definitely had alcohol poisoning. But to this day, even 10 years after quitting drinking, the smell of gin it kills it. I hate it. It's the worst. It's like pine pitch. Turns my stomach. Going back to Scrooge, Scrooge doesn't stay this way forever. 3 fucking assholes show up to his house, and we all know what happens. They take him on a trip from the past, the present, and the future, and show him a massive amount of pain, and he instantly changes. So he equates everything that he's doing and what he's about to do to pain, and realizes that he needs to make a change. So here's why people don't change. And I'm just going to give you a couple examples. You're in an unhealthy relationship. Things just suck. You know you shouldn't be in it, but you keep looking back and you're like, oh, things were so good. You remember all the good times that you had with that person, and you keep just living in the past even though the present's like really fucked up. Or you're blacking out, you're fighting with friends, you're making bad decisions, but in your head you're like, this is just a phase because I'm gonna move out of it. This isn't forever. I'm just having a good time right now. Or you can think, I'm coughing my lungs out, I'm having problems breathing, but my aunt smoked a pack of cigarettes a day and lived to 102. I don't know. You can always change or deflect the problem or the belief that things will either we're okay, are gonna be, or we're okay. It's just a present day thing where it's just a phase, or it's gonna be okay in the future. When pain is in the present, we escape to the past when it was good, or we make up what happens in the future because it hasn't happened yet, which we can't do. In the future, things aren't tangible. You can't see the future. You can imagine the future, but you can't taste or feel or smell the future. Things aren't tangible in the future. It hasn't happened yet. So if you live in the future, you're constantly chasing that, and you're never actually going to get there. If your brain can link up that has been painful in the past, and that it fucking sucks right now, and that the future looks like a shithole, you're definitely on the path to change. So all I'm going to leave you with is, don't be a Scrooge this year. Right now is the best time to live in present day. Be present, and right now is the best time to live. So with that being said, if you liked what you heard and you want to see more stuff from me, please like and subscribe, and then you can keep up to date with all the information and the content that I put out, because I don't plan on stopping. And share the video. Someone that's hurting or needs a little help, take that link, share it on your social media, and that's it. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and New Year. You might see another video from me before the New Year, but I'm looking forward to spending time with my family. Thank you very much. Peace and love.